You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Good morning and welcome to the Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann and we hope your Tuesday morning is off to a great start. We're always delighted for this opportunity to talk about the work of Catholic Charities on WNDZ 750 AM here in Chicago and through our live stream on YouTube and Facebook at Catholic Chicago. For 16 years now, the legendary Gibsons Restaurant Group has provided a fantastic winter meal to hundreds of Catholic Charities clients in support of them and Catholic Charities. This year's event is going to be held Sunday, January 28th. And here to give us a preview of this extraordinary gala afternoon meal is Kevin Arnold, Director of Training and Development for the Gibsons Restaurant Group. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, Katie. Nice to see you again.
Thank you so much for being with us today,
Yeah.
and thank you for all you're doing to make this a really special event for Catholic Charities clients.
Well, thank you.
Can you remind our audience about the history of Gibsons' presence and the Gibsons brand in Chicago?
Yeah, Gibsons has been here since 1989. Our founders are Steve Lombardo and Hugo Raleigh, and we have expanded over the years. But Chicago, the Rush Street location, has been there the whole time and is a Chicago institution, one of the best steakhouses, in my opinion, and many other people's around the city. And then we also have a few of those around in Rosemont and Oakbrook. But we have other concepts as well, from Lux Bar, Cortino, Gibson's Italia, Hugo's Frog Bar and Fish House, and Hugo's Frog Bar and Chop House out in Des Plaines. And then we have the Boathouse down in Orlando and a Cortino down in Texas that we just opened this last year. And then of course we also have a partnership with Bazaar, with Jose Andreas Group, with Bazaar Meat, Bar Mar, and Cafe by the River, and then RL just right around the corner from here. So a lot of restaurants. We look to be expanding in the future and taking our Gibsons philosophy to around the country, if maybe one day around the world, but of hospitality, high quality food and value, and just who we are as a restaurant group.
It really is amazing how it has expanded since 1989, Kevin, not only to different brands, but to different locations around Chicago. And I know that you're just known for impeccable service, as well as, the good old leather booths on the Rush Street location, right?
Yeah.
That's still just like a standard for Gibsons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you also remind everybody how the idea for this wonderful, incredibly philanthropic gesture of kindness started back in 2008, reaching out and opening the doors of Gibsons on New Year's Day to help Catholic Charities clients?
Yeah. Peg and Steve Lombardo have been working with Catholic Charities for years. They've been ambassadors to Catholic Charities. I think they were the Grand Marshals of all at one point. But they are definitely very affiliated with Catholic Charities, and it was something that we wanted to take advantage of. The restaurants closing, we would always close on New Year's Day, so we want to take advantage of a closed restaurant that had all the ability to feed people who would never be able to go there during the year. So we decided to take that opportunity and start using that at the Gibsons location on Rush Street as the day that we could bring people in. And Catholic Charities was just a natural person to work, or affiliation to work with, because of the affiliation with Steve and Hugo already, or Steve and Peg. So we just reached out to Catholic Charities, and they said, yeah, absolutely, let's do this. And we were able to, the first year was a little smaller. It started off at 100, then the next year was 200, and then we changed locations because we got so big, and it was 300, 400. We got up to 500 at one point. We had both levels of the Hugos going, and it was a little bit much, but we still were able to do it because that's what we do. Now we're out in Oakbrook doing it. A lot more space out there, especially for the buses to come in and bring people in and park. So now we're out there doing that. But it's just as big, and we had a couple years where we had to taper off off and not do it because of the pandemic. But we went strong back into it last year, and now we're doing it again this year. We're really excited about it.
Well, I have to say, though, even during the pandemic, I had the great pleasure of working with you and Liz Stark, and you did not want the tradition to stop. You went out of your way to prepare wonderful meals and deliver them to our senior affordable housing residences so that the tradition continued, and our clients got just a wonderful Gibson's meal delivered to their homes instead of them coming to the restaurant. That was incredibly creative and generous of you to continue that during the pandemic.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun. I was on that too, and just driving around everybody and bringing it to the house. And we had a pretty good system going on, so everybody could take it to their room and be able to heat it up as they want. Because we always give too much, anyways. I shouldn't say too much, but our portions are huge, so people end up taking them home after the dinner, anyways. So at lunch, so it's kind of nice just to bring it straight there, and they could have it for a few days if they needed to. But it's a great time, and we were glad that we could do that too, because that was something that we debated about. But there's no debate; it has to happen.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And so, what's in store for January 28th? What's on the menu, and what's in store for the 16th annual Gibsons Catholic Charities lunch this year?
Well, we've been doing it we've been pretty consistent the last few years in how we've been doing it, but we nice sit-down dinner. We're going to have our great garbage salad to start off with, some shrimp cocktail. We have meatloaf. That's the Gibsons prime beef meatloaf. That's amazing that we make. We will have our great chicken that we do rotisserie style, very tasty, and vegetables. Nice complete meal, mashed potatoes, and then we get into some desserts. They get to take home a little box of little bites that they can eat as they want, because, like I said, at the end of the meal, dessert is the last thing you're thinking about, So, but it's great because they come in, we bust them in. They don't have to worry about getting there. Everybody comes in at the same time. We got these great goodie bags they leave home with or leave the place with, so they got something to remember it by. We continue to do that. We have great donations from our vendors for food, as well as for different things for the goodie bags. So from like Wells Lamont, that we get a lot of that, or Leon Kroll. So a lot of donations from our friends of Gibsons, which is nice. So it's not only volunteers coming in to help us, but it's all these other elements that are coming together to really give a great experience to people who wouldn't have it otherwise.
You mentioned to me that you had a group of volunteers last year who, just went out of their way to extend kindness and courtesy to all the guests there. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. The Providence Catholic School came in, and the cheerleading squad for them, and they came in with, I don't think any of them had any service experience at all, which is what's great about this event, because no matter who comes in, we can find something for you to do, and you're going to feel like you're making an impact, because you are, and you don't have to be. I've worked in restaurants before, all we ask is that you wash your hands and you keep it clean, right?
Right.
But we can show you and teach you what you need to do in order to make these people happy. They come in, and they were just natural at it. They, I don't know, they had the spirit. They brought it with. They were happy. They were smiling. They were willing to do anything to make it better for the people that were there. And we really were over the moon. I mean, I think we had over 17 volunteers from them alone, which actually made up the majority of our volunteerism. But we still had a lot of people from our restaurants that came in too. So we just love trying to get more people involved, and hopefully we can get them again, or anybody else who feels that this is worth doing, because you see the smiles on people's faces, and it feels like it is at the end.
Well, and you've mentioned to me, and I totally agree, that oftentimes when you participate in an event like this, you get a lot more than you give, right, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, volunteerism is a fun thing for me. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and you always walk away feeling good for at least that day, but I'd say for a good amount of time, and then the next year you come back and do it again.
Yeah. Can you also talk a little bit about, I know that this Gibsons Catholic Charities lunch is very special to a lot of employees at Gibsons, and I just know it's got a special meaning for a former employee. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when we first started talking about doing this, we were talking to different people in the restaurant, and one of the guys I was talking to was a guy named Dave Cassiopo, who was a bartender at the time, and had been with the company for about 10 years at that point. And I mentioned that we were working with Catholic Charities, and he said, "Oh, well, I was adopted through Catholic Charities. I went through their program and got adopted, and had a wonderful life with the parents that I ended up with. And I'm still very close to them." I'm like, "Well, that's fantastic. You should be there, and you should be like our a representative, our guy from Gibsons that really had an impact with Catholic Charities, or had an impact on him. And so he did. And so every year he was there, and he was, doing everything he could to, be greeting everybody and take care of everybody. So he passed away, and I don't remember. I think it was 2014 or so. But when he passed away, it was really sad because he was young. He was a young guy. I mean, he wasn't that young. He was young enough for it to be a surprise. And a lot of the people who worked there, just everybody was really good friends with him. Everybody liked him. He's just a great guy. So we wanted to kind of represent him a little bit. And the other people that have worked for Gibsons over the years that have left us, there's a lot of heart in our company. And to see people care that much, and then be able to, represent them in their life and how that evolved, it meant a lot to us. So Dave is a special guy in our hearts, and it really is representative of that spirit of giving,
Well, Catholic Charities, as you know, has been helping people in Cook and Lake County for 107 years now. And so we often run into folks who have an affiliation with Catholic Charities in one way or another. Either they were adopted, or their parents donated and contributed and volunteered their time decades ago, so they want to do it now. So it's interesting that Dave had that connection, because we do see that. We kind of stumble into it, and then when you talk with our volunteers, oftentimes a neat story like that comes up, and so it's adds even more depth to what you're going to do for Catholic Charities clients on the 28th. We're so grateful. Could you also just talk a little bit about, we all are so familiar with the Gibsons Restaurant Group and all the wonderful service that they provide, and obviously the wonderful food and the whole feel that you get when you go in a Gibsons establishment. But this corporate philosophy of giving back is really significant to what you do as well, isn't it? I mean, this whole idea of giving to Catholic Charities, it's really part of the whole mission of the Gibsons Restaurant Group, isn't it?
Yeah, one of our values is family, and that's really hugely important to us, that when we enter communities, that we're not just going there to get money from them, but that we are giving back to that community, that we are participating with that community in the evolution of it. And we've seen that so many times. Gibsons was one of those. Gibsons, the area when they first went in, was a little depressed, and they came in and they encouraged bringing other restaurants in. They would throw opening parties for other restaurants, just to get the community to have more and more things available to them. And then eventually those people would come to the restaurants, and then they would become part of who we are. I don't know of any restaurant group, maybe there are ones, but I'm very confident that we are one of the few that I know of that do it the way we do it, where we get people who come into our restaurants and they become part of that family. We don't just talk about it. We really learn about them, everything about them, not just what they like to eat and drink and all, but everything, so that we can find out what they're passionate about. And then, as we start to know the community better and we see what that is kind of in general, we can start doing those things that are going to make that community feel that we're a part of it as well, and really support those things, so that when they think about Gibsons, they don't think about it as this restaurant group that's just there trying to make money or some kind of chain. It's a part of the community itself.
And it's part of Chicago, downtown Chicago, and it's a landmark restaurant, but then a very, very wonderful corporate group that we're proud to be affiliated with. So if you'll please bear with us, Kevin, we're going to take a break here on the Voice of Charity, and when we return, we're going to be continuing to talk with Kevin Arnold of the Gibsons Restaurant Group about the 16th annual Gibsons Catholic Charities Lunch that's coming up on January 28th. Please stay tuned.
Join Catholic Charities on Sunday, February 4th for the 2024 Divine Affair, a premier wine tasting event held at Chicago's Union League Club. Sample and purchase wines and craft beers from around the world. Attend a wine appreciation or beer tasting seminar while you enjoy gourmet hors d'oeuvres and fabulous desserts. A fantastic silent auction and raffle are included as well. All proceeds benefit Catholic Charities programs and services that help anyone in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. To purchase Divine Affair tickets and learn about great sponsorship opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 847-226-5697. That's 847-226-5697.
always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities offers a wide variety of volunteer opportunities to those who want to share their time and help us serve people in need. Whether it's stocking the shelves of our food pantries, helping refugees learn the English language, tutoring school-aged children, becoming a mentor to young adults, sorting clothes in our clothing rooms, serving hot meals to those who are facing homelessness, or delivering meals and making cards to lift the spirits of our homebound seniors, we are deeply grateful to all those who want to join in our mission of mercy. Volunteer opportunities are updated weekly for people of all ages at ccofchicagovolunteer.com, or just call us at 312-655-7053. That's 312-655-7053. Thank you for helping us follow Jesus' call to serve our neighbors in need.
Welcome back to the Voice of Charity. I'm Katie Bredemann, and it's my great pleasure today to be here with Kevin Arnold, who is the Director of Training and Development for the legendary Gibsons Restaurant Group here in Chicago. And for the 16th year in a row, Gibsons is generously providing a meal and transportation for Catholic Charities clients to have a wonderful winter feast on Sunday, January the 28th. As I said, it's the 16th annual time that Gibsons has opened its doors to offer kindness and generosity and a fabulous Gibsons meal to our guests. Our live stream is showing photos from some of the years, and I think we have even some photos from way back in 2008 when this event started. And so, Kevin, you know, before the break, we were talking about all of the people that come together to make this event happen. Catholic Charities staff are there. Gibsons employees come on their day off often to help. And then you also talked a little bit about the wonderful vendors who want to be part of this and give little toiletries or other types of gifts that the clients can then take home with them. Can you share a little bit, and do you want to give a shout out to anybody who's going to be participating this winter?
Yeah. We have a lot of vendors that actually help us out with this, simply because it's, you know, they can donate food. So a lot of the food that we have is the quality food that we produce, that we demand, but we get great, you know, donations from our vendors because they want to make sure that they're helping out as well. So, you know, Cisco, Get Fresh, Fortune Seafood, they all help to make that happen, as well as Stockyards and so on and so forth for the beef. Then we have the people who are donating the different products. We have Coca-Cola that donates as well. We have the beverage, our beverage, like Chicago Beverage does, Constellation, a lot of different other beverage companies that we use. So we are constantly working with them to get that kind of product. But then also for the goodie bags that we have, Leon Kroll does a great job. He's a wholesaler that has a lot of great products that we can use for people who are in situations where they need more, you know, hats, gloves, socks, you know, just things that help get you through the winter. And then Wells Lamont does a lot of donations with gloves too. So they've been doing it. I think Wells Lamont and Leon Kroll have been doing it since the very beginning. So when we started off this program, you know, it was very much we didn't know what we were doing. We had never done anything like this before. So, you know, the first year, we just got all these donations, and we're just stuffing them all over Gibsons, you know, trying to find places for this stuff so we can put it together in these goodie bags. And then it was my wife and a friend of mine, a friend of ours, on New Year's Eve, took all this stuff to the house and just put it all in these bags and like loaded them into cars, and we had to try to take them downtown, and it was definitely not the most ideal. So we learned from that experience that maybe we do it at the restaurant and not try to fill our cars and not be able to see when we're driving. But it was really a lot of fun to get all that product and then have it go into these bags and see people walk out with these big bags full of goodies that they could use for the rest of the year. And so that first year, though, it was definitely it was a learning experience. It was we did a buffet style. That didn't really work out as well as we thought it would, because we have a lot of people who come to this program who are have capacity issues. They don't have the ability to go up to a buffet and walk through. So we ended up actually just sending people to the buffet and getting plates together for people and then bringing them out. So after that, we decided to go with more of a family style, and then eventually moved into individual plating to make it a lot easier and faster for everybody. Also, make sure that everybody has their own plate. So sanitation is always an issue. We're always, we talk about the people who come to this program. It's going to be people who are at a higher risk for any kind of foodborne illness. We're very, very aware of that. We want to make sure that we're following those guidelines, especially when you have volunteers. Volunteers are not trained necessarily in sanitation, so you got to try to take those aspects out of it and just make it so that they're putting something in front of somebody that they're going to enjoy, and they don't have to worry too much about what kind of effect they had on the product itself. So we've been very fortunate with that, is just be able to kind of move over the years with the volume that we have and the type of service that we need to really give the service that people were looking for from us.
Well, and one other thing we should definitely mention is that as the event has evolved through the years, and as you said, to accommodate the larger number of guests that you're serving, Gibsons goes to the trouble of sending buses to our low-income housing. We are 22 affordable housing apartment buildings, and so you're so generous to send limousine buses to the residents, and then the guests who want to come are given a ride right to the restaurant in Oak Brook, and then back to their own residents. So it's really a full festive afternoon. As you can see on the photos, many people get dressed up and really make it a really festive, wonderful afternoon. And then they leave with not only having a great meal, but as you said, they have extras to take home and then these wonderful gifts. So it's really a memorable thing. I've talked to many of our clients who remember this event long after as one of the happiest events of the year, because you're just treating them with so much respect and dignity. It's really quite special.
Yeah, and what's great I like about it is that a lot of times it's the same people. We have a lot of people who come back again and again. And for Gibsons, that's what we're all about. We love return customers. We love making our locals and our regulars. So it's kind of become that at this event we've created regulars. Like I've been almost every one of these, obviously. So I've met a lot of the people, and I every time I say, oh hey, nice seeing you again. How was it compared to last year? And they give me some feedback, and I get to. So I like that because we can always improve. Even it's a volunteer event. And I think a lot of people take that for granted, and they think, oh well, it can't get better. It doesn't really matter. For us, it does, because it's still Gibsons. It's still us. We're not just putting it out there as a volunteer event. This is a Gibsons volunteer event, so it has to match that quality that we look for.
So beautifully said. It must be so gratifying for you and your wife to have seen how this has evolved through the years, Kevin.
Yeah, it has. It has been a great ride. It's great that we still do it. I mean, I'm surprised. Even I left the company for 3 years through the Peace Corps. I didn't think it would go on while I was gone, because it was always me and my wife doing it. But they kept it going, and that was really pleasant surprise. One of my years I came back on vacation during that time, I actually was able to volunteer and come back as just a volunteer, not a coordinator, and that was a lot of fun. But then, of course, when I came back the next year, I was back to coordinating it because I had to do it. I love doing that. But it's always been something that we've been very, very proud of. And every time of the year, it's like, okay, we get to do this again. That's it.
Well, and you mentioned to me that you and your wife did this service in the Peace Corps together for 3 years. And what an amazing experience that must have been.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell everybody you get more than you give to it, because you just can't give as much as you get. It's such a great experience to see another country, to learn what their beliefs are. They're heavily Catholic country, so it was kind of interesting to be in that kind of atmosphere, and really just people that it's great, caring type of place. A country, every country has its issues, but they were welcoming to us. They really took us in. They have 2 different languages, the Spanish and Guarani. That's not even English, isn't even one of their primary languages. So you really had to learn a lot, but it taught me that, there's a lot of other people out there in the world who have different experiences, and you got to be respectful of that, and you got to understand it, and then take that into your life when you get back home. And that's the biggest thing for a Peace Corps, is the exchange that you get when you come home, and you can tell everybody about it and then act as such when you get back.
I'm sure Gibsons was thrilled to have you back.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I'm glad it took me back right away. I'm like, one thing I didn't get was a lot of money in the Peace Corps, but it's volunteering. What do you expect, So it was great to come back to Gibsons, though, and have them and welcome me with open arms. And then I was able to go right back into doing this again, which is really fun.
We're so grateful to you and your wife for remembering Catholic Charities and this, and this long-time commitment, steadfast commitment to helping want to be part of our mission in Chicago. I'd be remiss if I also didn't take a moment to extend warmest thanks to Steve and Peg Lombardo for all they have done for Catholic Charities beyond sponsoring this wonderful New Year's meal over the years. Steve and Peg served as the 2009 chair couple for the Spirit of St. Nicholas Ball for Catholic Charities. Peg became a member of the Board of Advisors in 2010, rising to become a member of the Board of Directors and the Executive Committee at Catholic Charities, and she was honored as a distinguished board member in 2016. Peg and Steve Lombardo were also among a select group of benefactors at Catholic Charities who planned our 100th anniversary events in 2017, and their extraordinary support of and dedication to Catholic Charities continues to be a truly remarkable story in our history. Mm-hmm. They're just such kind, low-key, wonderful people, and I think even in our photos, that Peg is there in a Bears jersey. They're just down-to-earth, wonderful people.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, she's amazing. Just a wonderful person, and she's a great compliment to Steve. Steve is a very he's a very personal person. They both are, but they both have their own strengths and that they bring to the table, and it's just fun to watch them together. And I don't get to see them together that often because Steve's always off doing working his thing, and she's doing other things, but when they're together, it always reminds me of what a great relationship. They've been together for I think since 1971, so I think they're 51 years on, 52 years on, yeah, maybe before that. So it may actually been 69 now that I think about it, but they've been together for a long time, and it's great to see a relationship like that, a marriage like that. Especially when you know how much time he had to spend away from the family. Opening a restaurant like Gibsons.
The restaurant business is so tough.
Yeah, so it's that they've thrived through that. They have great children that are taking over the business. Liz, who is one of the people who is marketing and PR director, Liz Lombardo Stark. His daughter helps out with this a lot, with us getting everything together for that. And then you have the other son, Steve Lombardo the third, and Michael Lombardo, who are all very involved in the business, and they're going to be taking it over going for the future. So that's one of the things I like about it. We talk about family, and we mean it.
Absolutely. And yeah, Liz, I also wanted to make sure we thanked her for her generosity and her steadfast commitment to Catholic Charities. She, too, has been one of the reasons that this has continued so many years and in support of Catholic Charities clients. And we're just honored to partner with all of you in making their lives a little bit better. Before we run out of time, Kevin, the Gibsons Restaurant Group is consistently ranked among the best restaurants in our city. Open Table, for example, included the Rush Street Gibsons among the 20 restaurants that defined Chicago last year. Mm-hmm. What do you think are some of the reasons that you've been able to remain a leader in the very challenging restaurant business in Chicago over so many years? It's
all personality. It's all that when you come in, it's not going to be a stuffy atmosphere. It's supposed to be fun. I mean, it's fine dining, yeah, but it's supposed to be interactive and fun and loud and fast and chaotic and crazy and friendly and the things you want. We want energy at our restaurants, and so I think people really respond to that, and they want to be in that. And for us, we just continue to create that. We've had people at our restaurants that have been doing that for so long. That they know these people, they know our customers, and they know how to act, how to take care of them. And I think it just makes us exceptional restaurant group. It's why we're always in the top 10 in the country as far as how many people come into that restaurant. It's about volume for us too. It's not about trying to gouge the customer. We don't want that. We want you to come in. We're going to talk to you and find out what you're looking for, and that's part of the personality. And then once we find that out, we're going to deliver that, and we're not going to try to sell you anything you don't want. And the next time, if you want to come in and spend a lot of money, hey, that's great. We're happy to help you do that, but we're not going to ever push that on you because we want you to come in and get treated the same way, splitting a cheeseburger as you do ordering a whatever $80 steak. We want that same level of service and personality to be given to that customer because then they'll come back again and again, and that's when you really have a successful restaurant.
Beautifully said. And we've just been honored to have you on the show today. Thank you again so much for all you're doing to make this event so special for Catholic Charities and our clients on January 28th.
Thanks, Katie. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. And we invite all of you back again next week for another edition of The Voice of Charity. For now, this is Katie Bredemann, and we thank you for tuning in and believing in the mission of Catholic Charities.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.